We'll go ahead and kick this off. So again, Laura, thank you for joining us. If you will just introduce yourself to the group, we won't wait for everybody to join. And then Laura is going to take us through today an experience around shopping ads and how we can incorporate the shopping ad journey into our paid search programs for some of the retailers that you all are working with, particularly those who are springboarding themselves into an e-commerce realm right now. So she's going to walk us through how this is a gradual and a good next step for them. And then how the whole process works if you haven't played in this game yet. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Laura, let her take it and run with it from here and get us up to speed on what opportunities we can leverage with our shopping products.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, especially on a Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Great to be here. A little background on me. I'm actually celebrating my 2-year with Reach Local this week. So that's very exciting, but I have over 5 years of experience in the shopping space. In my previous life, I've worked with everything from eyewear to sports equipment and now dabbled in so many different awesome verticals, including furniture, which I heard is really popular here. So that's very exciting. There's so much opportunity. And so today I've put together a deck that'll walk us through what shopping ads are, just kind of as a familiarizer for everybody, kind of some in-depth material about what we're doing in the background that can be really a big value add to these clients. And then I've also included some success stories too, so we'll make sure everybody gets a copy of this deck so that you've got that at your fingertips whenever you need it. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, and then I will pause for questions throughout the journey. But if you've got questions, throw them in the chat. We'll make sure everybody gets answered. I love that this is a more intimate group because we've really got that opportunity. So I will get my screen shared and we'll walk through it. As we all know, shopping ads has just blown up faster than we could have ever imagined because of COVID, which has been pretty great. There's stats in here, but honestly, this is just a little number compared to where we are now. We've seen such exponential growth on the shopping ads network. And we can see that through the shopping trends that we analyze. Just like Google Trends, there's actually a shopping ads trends deck that we can reference and look at for all of these different verticals. And we're seeing now the steady trend beyond what the Christmas trends were. So there's such a high volume and such a big area of opportunity. If you can think about wanting it, you can most likely buy it on Google Shopping. So they've got great placement. You can see them on desktop or mobile. We're seeing huge influx in mobile shopping. I do it. I'm laying in bed trying to buy something, see that shopping ad right there at the top of the search engine results page. So you're getting great awareness just alone from that impression. But it's a cost per click product type. So don't pay until there's a click. And the great thing is you're really getting a pre-qualified customer clicking on this ad. And that's where we start to see really the biggest difference between traditional PPC. There's just leveraging so many different attributes that are helping that consumer decide if they really want to purchase this product and if they really are interested in buying it. You've got attributes like the image, the product image that shows exactly what that product is. You have a title of the product, you've got the price of the product, you've got the retailer who's selling the product, and then you can even have additional attributes like reviews and promotions that help that consumer decide, is this really what I'm looking for? And is this the price that I want to purchase it at? Then this click actually will take the consumer to that specific product detail page where they would be able to add that product to the cart and check out and complete their journey. So it's a great bottom of the funnel tactic, but we're also seeing shopping ads work more integral in a lot of the more beginning parts of the funnel as well. It really is a great exploratory tactic because it's helping close that gap on the research. People have kind of done the research on the product that they're wanting, which PPC is great in that beginning. And then now they're putting in a more niche search that's generating these shopping ads. And this is where you want to be. And there's a lot of opportunities for multiple placements as well. The shopping ads will always serve at the top of the search engine results page, but then you've got PPC right under it. And then you've got opportunity for organic underneath that. So this rounds you out to have 3 placement opportunities immediately on that search engine results page. Additionally, you can find shopping under the shopping ads tab whenever you go to Google. And Google's actually introduced another cool new feature, which is organic shopping ads, which we will enroll the customer into. But they only show on that shopping tab, and we can do a couple of live searches here too, so I can show you some. They only show under that searching tab under the paid listings, but it's still another area of opportunity that we offer our consumers. So lots of area to get out there, lots of brand awareness, and really the biggest leverage here is that customer qualification. They're really a truly qualified buyer before they've even gotten to the website because they've made that conscious decision that this is the product they're looking for. The big leverage is here, that placement, the context of the ad. You're staying ahead of the competition, especially right now. It's more important than ever to get into this feed. There are, retailers who you never would have thought traditionally on Google Shopping who are on Google Shopping and totally crushing it. We've had equipment manufacturers selling like $1,000 pallet jacks on Google Shopping. We've sold a $22,000 scissor lift, blows my mind, on Google Shopping. We're selling paint on Google Shopping. That's something that you would traditionally would have thought, I need to go into the store and see the colors, but people are making that decision online. They've done their research. Maybe they've already gone to the store and saw what they wanted, and now they're at home and they're like, hey, I want to buy it and get curbside pickup. I love curbside pickup, and that's how they can find it. And this is really that area of opportunity to fill that gap wherever that consumer is in that journey. And then again, you're getting a more qualified lead, right? You're only paying for those costs per clicks, so you know that your money is going towards getting people to that website. And we're really working to get a high click-through rate, a really relevant consumer in who's going to make that that conversion and make that purchase. So how do these work in the background, right? How do you actually get that position? How do we get to getting our ads on the Google Shopping network? And what is our team doing in the background? So Google Shopping has a few background connections that are made before we can even get this thing on the live network. And this is where our team really comes in handy. And it's a huge time saver and value add to consumers. And from what I've come to find out, this is something a lot of agencies don't offer. So this is a big value add. We take care of the legwork here. So you start by connecting to the consumer's shopping cart, which that means their host for all their product information on their e-commerce website. Typically, names that you'll hear are Shopify. If you hear that, you know this consumer is compatible. I love Shopify. It's plug and play friendly. If your client has Shopify, you know that at least from a technical standpoint, we can connect to their product data. Other shopping cart solutions that we can definitely connect with are Magento, WooCommerce, BigCommerce. If they're doing a microsite with us, an e-commerce microsite, then they would be leveraging WooCommerce. So that would be capable. So just another value add there. Just because they don't have one of the ones listed here, which you can totally use like a cheat sheet, doesn't mean that we can't connect with them. So we do have some clients who have like proprietary websites that may involve a little bit more coding to extract that product data. We're happy to work with the client's web developer to get that information and make sure that we're providing as much information as we can to the client about what we need to make sure that we're capable in pulling that. Really, some core components that would involve in that product catalog that we would need would just be like your core product information, right? A link to the product price, and some core attributes like that, which I'll show you in the next slide. But once we've got that product data, then we connect it to what's called a Google Merchant Center. And this is our interim between the client's website and the Google Ads account. If a client doesn't already have a Google Merchant Center, no problem. We can totally build one for them. It's super easy. And this is how Google basically recognizes that this person and this retailer is able to run Google Shopping. And then this is where all that product data is hosted before it connects to Google Ads. So we create them a Google Merchant Center, we put in their business information, Google gives us a tag that's placed on their website that says, yes, this customer or this client does own the website, we can run shopping ads here, and then we connect that product data. And once that data is connected, Google actually runs a crawl on all that data to make sure that it matches all of their requirements. And once that crawl is complete, we get a list of either disapprovals or approvals or a mixture telling us which products are approved to run, and maybe if there's some adjustments that need to be made to make others approved as well. So that is another area that our team will work on. We'll work through those disapprovals. We'll work with the client on those disapprovals. But once we've got the green light on all of the products, Then now we can plug this into Google Ads, and all of that product data is pulled in to generate the ads. So we're not actually building, hundreds of product ads. It's actually taking that core data from their website and generating that ad. So it's taking the product image, the product price, and that's what's being used in the ad. So it's really cool because if the client's making updates like sales prices or there's a lot of inventory fluctuations, they don't have to worry about communicating that to us. They don't have to worry about doing any manual work for these ads, and neither does our team. On those attributes, it's just going to be a dynamic quick connection. But what we do work on is the other attributes in the feed that are really going to help the performance of the campaign. And I'll get into that in a minute. But basically, from a step-by-step plug in from the beginning to the end, we plug into the client's product catalog. We then tether that to Merchant Center. Once we're approved, connection to Google Ads, and boom, you've got your shopping ads. So what makes them show, and what are those attributes that we're actually working on in the background? So there is something called a data feed. And this is all that product information from that product catalog, but segmented into specific attributes that are unique to Google Shopping. So you've got attributes like your product title, your ID, your Google product category. All of these are what are driving the search results to show. So one big difference between shopping ads and traditional PPC is that there's no keyword bidding, no keyword loading. That's totally irrelevant here. What Google is actually referencing is all the information in the data feed. So if I went onto Google and typed in, memory foam twin mattress, Google's actually going back to the data feed and seeing where that text is in these attributes to help complete that match to that consumer. There's also a bid structure as well. Since it's cost per click, there are max bids that we set, and that really does vary per vertical, but that's something that our team is consistently updating, and that also kind of plays into the product showing. But really, the first and foremost and most important thing that Google references is the relevancy to this data feed. And this is where our team really gets our hands dirty. We're watching the search terms come through in the ads campaign. We're seeing the products that are converting. We're understanding what those search terms are, and then we're going back to the data feed and updating it so that we're helping Google understand who this right customer is. Who do we want to show these ads for? What niche are we trying to fill? And where are we trying to get our strongest impression share? All of those come into play when we're going back to the feed and deciding, where we want to update. It can also help us decide if there's products that maybe we don't want to be spending money on running. We can segment those out too. So, especially with furniture, we'll have feeds come through with like 10,000 products. And that can be a little bit overwhelming, right? You're like, how do I even begin on splitting up a budget to serve for these 10,000 products? This is where the conversations with the client really come into play, because we can understand, okay, what are your top performing product groups? Is it the kitchen sets? Are you really focusing on sofas right now? Where's your bread and butter? And then really focusing on, let's go in and optimize those products as a priority. Let's make sure those are set as a priority in the ads campaign. And then let's watch the other product groups as well, maybe at a lower CPC, and understand the performance and take those learnings back to the client. Sometimes they'll match the client's expectations of what they really thought was going to run well, and sometimes it's something totally different. And that can just really lead to good conversations and good analysis on the products. But this data feed overall is the most important core piece of making a successful shopping ads campaign. And this is why it's really just not a set campaign type that just has to be optimized consistently, touched consistently. And things are always changing, as we know, on Google, and Google's always changing its rules, and they'll add in new attributes that need to be filled. And that's just, again, another area where our team is really working to make sure that we're taking as much off the client's plate as possible. If we do have disapprovals or more information we need from the client, then we communicate with them. But for the most part, we really do a lot in the background for the client in the feed. So we're really simplifying that process. Our team is working to get that data. We're working to build that feed and get that information over. We get it put into Merchant Center. And then after all that work is done, you've got a successful shopping ad. Of course, like I said, the work is never just done there. We're doing a lot in the background as these continue to run. But from beginning of extracting that data to getting them live, our team does it all. So this is all included in the service that they're receiving for their campaign. Any questions about the setup process, about the data feed so far? Don't have my chat open, but looks like we might be in good shape. All right, I'll keep rolling on.
If you can, I wrote a couple questions down. So the first one, can you walk through with the team when you're talking about the feed and that updates can be made? So how long does it take if I am a business and maybe I'm changing pricing in my inventory management system for sofas because I'm going to have a sale this weekend? How long between me making that change in my system and on the website does that translate into my ads? Is there like a 24-hour straight lag period? What expectation should our reps be comfortable with when we're thinking of changes and the appearance of those changes?
Yeah, great question. So the question is, if I'm making changes on my website as a client and I'm updating my sale prices or my inventory, how quickly is that going to reflect on the ads once I've completed those changes? That's a great question. When we've created a dynamic feed versus a manual feed, that really helps expedite those efforts. If there's a manual feed where we actually would have to go in and make that change, that time could be much longer because there's actually a manual change happening. But if that connection's dynamic, we do set the data feed up at a 24-hour fetch schedule. So usually we'll fetch at midnight and capture any changes from that day. And then once those changes are captured, it's about an hour from when Merchant Center has captured those changes to when you would actually see it reflected in the ad. Now, if the client has some super urgent updates, that really need to occur for like a last minute sale or something, they can communicate that to us and we can do that fetch in Merchant Center for them. It's just the click of a button, but we do have an automated fetch schedule set up for all the clients who have a dynamic feed.
Okay. And then once, and you may get to these, this is a kind of two-part question. And if you're going to get to these areas, don't let me get you off track or go in too early. But as sales reps are thinking about when they're working with their clients and they're consulting, and they're trying to gather intel, is there anything on a sales side that we really need to be asking questions about, or intel we need to be gathering to make sure that these campaigns are the most successful for your team's fulfillment and when we're going through the pre-sale side? The secondary to that question is, what pitfalls do we need to be aware of that we don't accidentally step into, or we just need to know exist so that we're prepared for them?
Yeah, definitely. Questions around what expectations need to be set as we are pitching these ads, and what are some of those pre-qualifying questions that we need to ask before going to the client, and just making sure that this is the right solution for them, especially from a technology standpoint, is really important. I believe more of the deck will kind of fill in some of those gaps, but from what we've discussed so far, the most important first piece of qualifier that you need to be looking for is, does this client have individual product pages for these products, and can I add it to my cart? Because when we're looking at that data feed, and I'll just go back here if it will let me, you can see that one of the attributes is actually a product link. And while we are responsible for the attributes, Google does run crawls frequently to make sure that it's meeting their requirements and to make sure that it is shopping ads eligible. And what they really want is a very fluid customer experience. So where they click on that ad, they'll be taken exactly to that product and be able to add it to the cart. So kind of replicate that experience with this client that you're going after and see, can I do that? Can I go on their website? Can I go directly to a single product? And can I add that product to my cart? Do I see a price available? Do I see the information that would make me understand this is what I'm actually buying? Kind of from a consumer's perspective, it's kind of steps we all take when we're deciding, especially from a new buyer, do I feel confident in buying this product? Consumer confidence is huge, and of the feed all day and make this the best shopping ads campaign ever. But if the consumer doesn't feel confident in buying this product, we're not going to be leading to transactions. So that's just something very important to look at, is, are the pieces here in play to make this a successful buying journey? And from a Google technical standpoint, having a separate product page for each item and an add to cart option is like the #1 most important thing. So go into like some of the reporting we have, and then I'll go also into some questions that you need to ask those clients, which I think will help fill in all those gaps on the requirements and those pre-qualifying questions and some of those pitfalls and expectations. But if there's definitely any outlying questions, then feel free to ask and we can definitely walk through those. So once the shopping ads are running, we do provide custom reporting. So there isn't actually anything formal available in Client Center. That's something important to note. I think you can see pretty basic information like impressions and costs, but you're not going to see conversions or any of those really important shopping ads metrics. So because of that, we do offer custom reporting. So whenever it's needed, you can just put in a case in Salesforce. We ask for a 5 business day SLA on custom reporting. The great thing is we can match this reporting to anything you're already offering your clients or help put together something new that fits what the client is looking for. Typically, this is like a PowerPoint or Excel, and I can send a couple of examples too, so the team has those. But it'll include data like an overview that you'd normally have, your impressions, clicks, click-through rate, conversions. But then we can get more granular, which is a really fun part. We can see which products actually converted, which search terms led to those conversions, and understand that product performance, and then talk through the optimization that happened on the back end to help that client understand the work that we're doing, the products that we're seeing perform well, and open that conversation further as to understanding, is this what you're seeing in your stores? Is there another area that we need to be leveraging, and really have those more detailed consumer conversations. So custom reporting, absolutely something we can do, and again, match any of your current reporting that you're sending your clients. So what are those requirements if you wanted to get started? Currently, right now, it's a $2,000 minimum budget. There are some cycle minimums. For Reach Local, it's 3 cycle minimum. For Gannett, it's 4 cycle minimum. We are also open to Canada. Of course, they have to have an e-commerce site, right? So that, again, is the most important thing, those add to cart options on those product detail pages. We do have to have a Google Merchant Center. Like I said before, that's something we can totally create for them, but if they have one already, then we'll just need admin access. We'd like to have Google Analytics access too, because what we've seen again with shopping ads is it's not just a last click bottom of the funnel opportunity. We've seen them integrated in so many other parts of the journey. They work fantastic alongside PPC, and we can see this in Google Analytics. We open up those assisted conversion paths and we'll see some of the craziest journeys, but they're really neat to look at because we can see how important it is to be running other solutions and how they play together. So we'll see like the opening click from a consumer be a PPC ad. And then they went back to Google and went to the website organically. And then they went back to Google and re-entered the site via a shopping ad. And maybe they clicked a shopping ad 3 times before finally making that purchase. And then we can go in and look at those path times too and understand, okay, well, what's the normal buying timeline like? How long does it take for somebody to actually start at the beginning and then make a purchase? And that helps our efforts and also our expectations with the client and understanding, well, how fast am I going to see conversions? That's a big question, and that's a question we get a lot. How fast am I going to see results? It can definitely vary by the vertical. Of course, you can never promise sales, but understanding the vertical and understanding consumer behavior can really help us make a solid estimate and have a really true conversation around those expectations. So cannot stress enough the importance of Google Analytics. And then we will have some tags that the client will need to place on their website that are different than reach code. It's actually tags straight from Google that are conversion placement tags, and that's how we'll be able to see the conversions come back from the website to our shopping ads campaign and see which products actually sold. So having a direct line to the client or to their web developer, again, is really important, so that not only from the product extraction standpoint, but from a conversion tag placement as well. SLAs and budgeting. It's a question I get a lot. How do I budget this? And if I sign today, how long is it going to take? So shopping ads have about a 30 business day SLA, which is a little bit lengthy, but there's a lot that goes into this. And this, again, is a huge value add to the client. We have that first hurdle, right, of connecting to the client's website and getting that product data extracted. Sometimes that's as quick as with Shopify, plug and play, we've got it in Merchant Center. Sometimes it's more of a lengthy conversation of working with a web developer to get that product information in the right format, an XML file, an API connection, whatever it may be. That's the first step we have to cross. Then once we get that in Google, we have to initiate that product crawl and make sure that it's structured so where there's the attributes that Google needs to find to make these ads. That crawl, the first one, can be anywhere from 5 to 7 business days. And that's where we're just waiting for Google to do that analysis and come back to us with the results. From there, we might have to make some adjustments if there's disapprovals, or if there's approvals, then we can move to the next step, which would be connecting the merchant center to the ads platform, which does require us to open a ticket with PubOps to accept a link request and get all that information to feed through. So we do have that 30-day SLA in there because mainly it is a Google timeline, and there's always some unexpected twists with Google. As we all know, Google loves to suspend things, and this is a big expectation that we all need to be aware of. Because they're ramping up Google Shopping and opening up the opportunities, they're also adding a lot more restrictions. So I will be honest, we have seen a lot more suspensions come through for Google Merchant Centers and Google Ads campaigns. The great thing is we've got a great relationship with Google, so I'm usually able to get a pretty solid answer from them in terms of what actually is the suspension reason and what we can do to get it lifted. And sometimes it's so simple. It's like you need to add some contact information on your website. And I'm like, why didn't you just tell us this from the beginning? This would have been so much easier. But we get that information. We're able to make those adjustments either for the client or communicate it to the client. And then we're able to keep moving forward. But that can be a very common hurdle that leads into this being an at least 30 days because there's just those twists and turns from Google that can be unexpected. But that's why our team is here. And the client would have been facing that no matter what. And luckily, we have experience with so many different suspension types. We can usually know what's going to resolve it, or we've got our awesome contact at Google, she's amazing, who can help us figure out what that is. So again, while that timeline might seem a little bit daunting, there's a lot in it that would be a big value add for the client. And I mean, once we're in, it's so much better. I mean, there's always suspensions that could happen, but that biggest hurdle is getting live and actually getting in and live on the Shopping Ads network. And again, it's just a big time saver and just a big value add that we're able to clear a lot of those suspensions for the clients. So that's kind of where I would say the biggest expectation, hurdle, pitfall would be, is that if the expectation is set, like, I need to get this live tomorrow or 2 weeks, like, anything can happen. Our team has the alerts set up, and we're armed and ready to face Google, but that is just something no matter what that we could face. But we're here and we've got the experience and we've got the team. I just wanted to put this in here that, again, with Reach Local e-commerce microsites, that we're able to work with them. There are some product categories that you can't run on Google Shopping, like cars, boats, CBD, things like that. Anything COVID related, so thermometers, sanitizers, masks, we've been suspended for all of that. So if you have a COVID kind of related client, I would suggest not going towards that. We have experienced where some clients had gotten in, before the big COVID explosion, I guess, and they got thermometers approved and masks, and now they're trying to come to Reach Local. I would suggest not taking them on because Google's going to run a secondary crawl and suspend. It's sad, but if you got in before COVID for those products, Google doesn't deem you as trying to take advantage of a pandemic. If you try after, even by switching your ads account, they're going to flag you for trying to take advantage of a pandemic. So I can always send the list, if you need it, or if you're questioning, like, oh, is this client going to be meet those requirements? Just let us know. We can totally find out, and I can send that list as well. But if they're running a microsite with us and it's an approved product type, then most likely we can tether and make that happen. We've got a few clients who have done that. So it makes it really easy because we already know, at least from that data pull capabilities standpoint, we can totally do it, which is sometimes the biggest hurdle. So just really good to know that if they don't, if they aren't on e-commerce already and they're getting that microsite with us, they can be Google Shopping capable. And then there are a couple of additional add-ons that we offer. Local inventory ads is one. Again, if you're a curbside pickup lover like me, this is totally an amazing option. I will say, just from the get-go, this takes a long time to get into. I've got some clients who've been waiting 60 plus days to get in because it does require a Google rep to actually reach out and verify your brick and mortar inventory. But what it does is we're able to tether to a client's point of sale system for their inventory, their local inventory, which would be their brick and mortar store location. And then once Google approves that inventory, you get this really nifty icon on your shopping campaign, in your shopping ad, that shows in store. And you can do this on your phone, try to look up a product near you. So maybe like a twin mattress near me, or outdoor grill near me. Adding a near me or purchase in store type of verbiage helps Google understand that you're actually willing to go drive to that store and pick it up. And if they find that you're in a 15-mile radius of a store location, if your consumer habits show that you're usually willing to go drive and pick something up, you're going to be served a local inventory ad over just a traditional shopping ad. Google's deciding which one to serve you based on your behavior. So if you are enabled in local inventory ads, like as a client, it's not an extra cost because Google's deciding which type of ad to serve you. So there's not a separate campaign type, it's not a separate cost, it's just an additional add-on that can help drive business to in-store opportunities. So this is really great for our businesses who are opening back up, who are trying to get people back in the stores. But I do want to be very fair in saying it does take a long time to get in because of that manual Google approval process. The good thing is you can get up and going with shopping ads first and then turn these on at any time. So we can get the shopping ads up and running, which are going to drive that e-commerce traffic, and then turn on those local inventory ads once we're approved. The biggest differentiator with local inventory is that on your phone, you're actually able to click that ad and get driving directions to the store. So it really does, again, help drive that in-store traffic. And Google's kind of creepy. They track you all the way to the store if you have your settings turned on. And they've even told me, oh yeah, if the store is in like a strip mall, we can totally track you walking into that store. And that's how we're able to know if a local inventory conversion happened. So kind of creepy, but cool for us. And then we also have dynamic remarketing, which is a separate campaign type. So there is a separate cost for it, but this is a really neat tactic because it utilizes that data feed that we're already running for Google Shopping and follows consumers around after they left the website and shows them the exact product they viewed and similar items. So it's using those attributes in the feed that we are optimizing, like those descriptions and the Google product categories, and being able to understand, okay, this person viewed a twin mattress, let's show them this mattress and 5 other mattresses that kind of fit their needs. And this has really great placement across the Google display network. We've seen like really great placement on like CNN, weather.com. So this is definitely something to leverage, especially for those product types that do have those longer consumer buying journeys. You want to follow them and get them back. And the cool thing is with these too, is that we can get really granular on how we set up those targetings. So we can do like demographic targetings and then even say like, okay, for all products that are categorized as mattresses, follow this person around for 14 days above the fold until they purchase, and we have like a burn pixel set up. So there's a lot of different opportunities there to stalk people very efficiently. So altogether, a lot of opportunity with shopping ads to follow people around. Again, I do have some examples of success that we can show, but I'll stop here so I can answer any questions maybe I haven't gotten to or that are specific.
I had one question. Oh, I'm echoing. I apologize.
It sounds good to me.
As far as doing the shopping ads, do we have to have their search campaign running with us as well, or can this be an a la carte secondary search campaign?
So shopping ads can run all by themselves. You don't have to run PPC with them. Do I recommend it? A good amount of the time, unless they're really just e-commerce focused and you don't need much like research with their products. What I do see with PPC is that it helps fill that research gap in the beginning. And if people are going back, to Google to do their research, it's always good to fill in those gaps, but definitely not a requirement.
If they're running with another vendor for their PPC, is that okay? Could we still take the search ad part of it? Okay.
Yep, if you're running with another vendor, no problem.
So to kind of piggyback on Caroline's questions, so when I think of some opportunities that we have, I think about franchises, right? So particularly like Lazy Boy, where some of the stores, the marketing is dictated by the franchise itself. And for other stores that are owned by a franchisee, those marketing decisions get made on an owner by owner basis. So say Caroline was working with a set of 20 Lazy Boy stores. Can we sparse out those 20, that particular merchant center, or build a unique one, and the inventory for that particular store for a campaign like this, the same way we can separate their search campaign? Or do we run into issues with any franchises that we're trying to work with?
That's a great question. So if you have a client who has multiple franchises but is owned by, a main dominant name like Lazy Boy, but they've got like Lazy Boy Arlington, Lazy Boy Frisco, which is near and dear to my heart because we're actually working on that right now. So it works out. Yes, the answer short is yes, we can work with franchises, but I'll kind of talk through what that process would look like and what we're kind of experiencing here. So from a Google shopping, just from an e-commerce shopping, click the ad, go to the website perspective, it's absolutely possible as long as we are able to have, and this kind of works more with like a proxy sites, but the main domain that we put into Merchant Center has to be the same domain that matches where the products are hosted. And so if we tell Google, we're advertising for lazyboy.com, we have to be able to place code on lazyboy.com. We have to be able to link to products that have that main domain host of lazyboy.com/. What we're doing with Lazy Boy is that they actually have proxy sites that's like lazyboy-arlington.com. And so we're able to build a merchant center specifically for lazyboy-arlington.com and get the code placed there and then link all the products accordingly. You do need separate merchant centers for separate domain websites, and you can only have one merchant center per domain. So if you're running 20 different franchises and they all have 20 different domains, well, you're going to need 20 different campaigns and 20 different merchant centers and 20 different data feeds. Is it time consuming? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. So we could totally do it. It's definitely possible. Really, the biggest technical standpoint is, again, that domain has to match where the user is landing, and we have to be able to add code there.
Got it. So for the folks on this call, and I'm thinking through, so we've got Lazy Boy, we've got Ashley Furniture representation, Bassett. So you've got some big franchise names here and folks who own multiple locations for those groups. So for those, we could submit an audit to the pre-sales team and basically say, here are the locations, here's the core domain, but this is how the individual stores break out. Now tell us what we go do. So we can put that intel in so that reps don't feel like they're responsible for knowing all the technicalities, and we can have somebody guide us through that franchise process then.
Yes, I 100% recommend doing an audit that way when you've got something that's a little bit outside of the box like that, because Google is very picky with those codes and their merchant center and where these products land. And the worst situation we can be in is we get all the way down the road and Google says, you cannot go any further. And I mean, that does happen, right? Sometimes it's hard to not to know, what the future lies with Google's rules, but we've been through quite a few, so we'll at least have a good idea from a capability standpoint, be able to talk you through what that breakdown will be. And then I also just pulled up the screen too, because I realized I didn't really quite talk through the whole budgeting process too, but this is something that we can help with, and that you'll be able to have how to budget those campaigns too. But if you need assistance there, then in that audit process, we can definitely help there too.
Okay.
May I ask one more question to piggyback on that, just because I do have 3 Lazy Boy locations with one owner, and so they have one warehouse where their inventory is kept. So with that, would that be kind of one domain for Nashville local, or would the 3 stores need to have separate domains even though their warehouse is probably in the same merchant center?
So make sure I'm understanding this correctly. They have different websites and different locations, but all of their product that they ship is hosted in one warehouse.
Yeah, primarily they go through one website, but they do have, lazyboy.com/Mallory Lane, lazyboy.com/Hendersonville. So yes, they have 3 domains, but I feel like all their inventory is kept at one place.
Yeah, that would be fine. Google at the end of the day doesn't really care where the product's being shipped from as long as the consumer is able to get it. When we create Google Merchant Centers, shipping factors are something we have to be aware of and something we have to link them to, especially, when we have, if there's any like shipping rules, like delivery radius or anything like that, we put it into Google Merchant Center. They'll ask us for the link to where the shipping policy is, because they want to make sure that the consumer is able to see the full policy. And then they'll ask us what the prices are. And then we can actually set up delivery radius and different shipping costs. And you can do that either by Merchant Center, by product type. So there's a lot of opportunity there, but I've never seen them ask, like where are these products coming from. They'll ask for like a zip code so that it can help if they're carrier rates, but I wouldn't see a capabilities issue, at least from the products all coming from one place.
So I think, Caroline, the question for that would come in, so when I think about those 3 stores that you're referring to, although it's one inventory management system, I think where there could be a caveat that comes into play is when we start talking about that local inventory ads feature. Because if somebody wants to do curbside pickup, we need to know which store has it. So I think the question there would be for the folks on this call, when you're working with a retailer that maybe has one inventory management system, one warehousing system, but multiple websites or multiple brick and mortar stores that are all pulling from that inventory pool, what we need to understand is if we were to enlist this product and we were going to turn on the local inventory ads product, what we need to understand is how fast can they get a product from the warehouse to the store location. So if I'm a Brentwood location, do I have enough flexibility, or what type of intel can I gather from the customer to then relay to Laura and her team so we can make a decision on the best functionality and how this would work? So when you're talking to those owners, if somebody decides that today they want to buy a blue accent chair and they found one at the Lazy Boy, doesn't matter where, but maybe they're closest to Brentwood, the question would be, can that group of Lazy Boys get the accent chair from the warehouse to the Brentwood store in same day or whatever that time frame is, so that that person could go pick up? If not, then we may have a problem with one inventory management system for 3 separate locations, at least when it comes to the local inventory ads being turned on. You may go, well, that's not an option because we can't get inventory from X to Y in a quick enough time period. Maybe you don't turn that portion on. But I think that's what you guys are going to have to think through on the vetting side. When we're talking to customers about it, think through, to Laura's point, from a consumer's perspective, how would you shop? How fast do you want something? Do you want the ability to have it delivered? Do you want delivery plus setup? Do you want to be able to pick it up curbside or in store? And you need to be able to flush those questions out with an owner and what those timeframes look like for inventory, so that we can help guide them on the best decisions for which features you turn on. So I do have a question though, Laura. So with Brent, who had a conflict, so he joined part of the way through.
Hi.
Hi.
So I think about someone like Brent who has tapped into the alcohol world, particularly distillery.
Sure.
So what type of regulations, if any, do we have on alcohol products? So if he's working with a distillery, can we deploy shopping ads for that? And what do we need to be aware of for a vertical that's specialized like alcohol?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. Great news. Yes, you can run alcohol on the Google Shopping Network. There are a little bit of restrictions around how you poise that content. They can't have anything that is trying to sell to minors or underage like that. But I mean, Total Wine is on the Google Shopping Network, even for curbside pickups. So we can definitely integrate it in, again, just following those kind of checkpoint basics of, can I go to the website, purchase this, and have it shipped to me? And then for alcohol, again, there just has to be some sort of caveat that makes sure you're not selling to underage minors or advertising to them, which there's no demographic targeting with Google Shopping. So that's not really a huge concern there, but just making sure that there's no verbiage and that the website is at least secure and asking for an age.
Okay, that's cool. That's good information. I think so. I've had a distillery that's had trouble with figuring out how to ship and how to sell online and ship and facilitate all that. And so they actually pulled budget from us because of COVID. But I think that this could be a really interesting way to get back in front of them. and show them that we can help them just in the regular Google shopping space, because they're not doing that currently. So I think this is really useful for them for sure.
Awesome.
So Laura, before anybody else comes out and finishes asking questions, or you top us off with a cherry and last points, my last question is, are there any verticals that you can think about that this team maybe should chase over the next few weeks pretty aggressively to go live before the holidays, that we think it's a fairly quick lift to get these live? Or, aha, this is a great business to go after that you may not be thinking of to prime yourself for the holidays?
Yeah, great question. So what are those verticals that are going to be really successful for the holidays? Who should you go after? What are some quick ways to recognize a really good contender? So we have a huge opportunity with the holidays, right? Like I said earlier, we're seeing Christmas level search volumes way before the holidays have even happened. And there's some great areas of opportunity on Google Shopping too, because one thing that I think Google, I don't know, maybe they just try not to tell people, but Amazon cannot advertise on Google Shopping when they're running overall promotions. So Prime Day, anything like that, Amazon cannot, again, advertise on Google Shopping. So there's of opportunity there for your clients as well. But anybody who has, Shopify, we know immediately, yes, we can tether. One big thing, we're kind of running into a timeline issue here before Black Friday. Can we actually get in before, Black Friday and the holidays ramp up? So we need to look from a technical standpoint. Does this client have a good landing page? Is that product image there? Are those prices there? Can I add this to my cart easily? Is that functionality there? And then, from a technical standpoint, is this something where we could extract our product catalog and plug it in? And I know that's more of a technical question to ask, but when you're going to these clients and we're talking about getting in for the holidays, that's definitely something that needs to be top of mind and top of question is, from a technical standpoint, would we be able to extract your product data given the requirements that we need, like that product link, the price, and then image link, things that are going to be core components in the ad, because without that, we can't build an ad and we can't get in for that Google review. So that's definitely something that needs to be discussed. Can we have that web developer communication? Some clients, they have to pay a fee for every time that their web developer is reached out to, every time a piece of code is placed. And, we've run into that where the opportunity's been signed and then the client's like, wait, my web developer quoted me 5 hours of work to pull a product catalog, which is like totally unrealistic, but they'll do that. And then it's like such this big charge and it's just not something that seems functionally possible. So just making sure that that communication would be there, at least from a technical standpoint, can we get this running? That's really important. Now, from a vertical perspective, the opportunities are endless. There's so many great verticals. Absolutely any type of outdoor patio furniture, grills, outdoor fireplaces, anything like that, crushing it. Huge. We're seeing massive lifts in that vertical, even as we're moving into winter months and weather. People are still looking to revamp their outdoor space, especially now when we kind of have to have a different mentality about entertaining for the holidays. There's all these articles coming out that's saying it's not safe to have your family all over in the same room for Thanksgiving. So let's have an outdoor Thanksgiving celebrations at social distance. Well, what's a cool way that, we can have the turkey outside and grill it outside and do things like that? Having that mentality of how are we functioning around holidays and what are the items we need to be able to do that, that's where the money is and that's where it's going. Another huge vertical right now is any fitness related equipment. If your client has it in stock, they're going to sell out immediately. I've got 3 fitness clients right now who actually have started taking monetary down payments for fitness equipment because they're sold out and their wait lists are so long. If somebody has it, it's going to sell. You can advertise it and it'll be out the door. So any type of fitness product people are looking at for the holidays, it's huge. Any type of technology related items that kind of can help cure that at home, I need a hobby type of thing, gaming equipment, gaming chairs, office furniture, anything like that where you're going to be revamping a home space and just filling that niche. It's just going to be, it's a huge huge opportunity on Google Shopping. We're just seeing massive, massive spikes. And, you know, I have up here that budgeting calculator of how you can look at creating a budget. We recommend using the local IQ grader as you would for a traditional PPC campaign, getting that budget, cutting it in half, because the traditional cost per click on Google Shopping is about half of PPC. Search volumes are pretty comparable, but the click-through rate is about 0.85%, which might seem a little bit low, but as we mentioned, these are really pre-qualified customers coming in. So you're getting a lot of impressions, but the people who are actually clicking through are those who have an intention. And that's why that click-through rate might be below what you're typically looking at for a PPC campaign. But from there, that can help you determine what those clicks might look like. And the conversion rate on the Google Shopping Network is about 2%. But I've seen it go way above. I mean, I've got some furniture clients who are seeing upwards of 6% on their clicks on products. And so we're seeing really, really good return on ad spend and lots of in-store traffic coming through. So furniture is dominant. And I have heard that there's going to be some fluctuation with furniture as we move into the winter months because of materials. One of my clients was telling me that there's a shortage of the oil that is used when creating couch stuffing filling. So couches might see a regression in availability. So keeping things like that in mind as we're looking into what products are actually even going to be available can help kind of determine what we really need to push. You know, maybe they've got backstock on some stuff that hasn't been moving, but now there's an opportunity for it. You know, get creative. Things that traditionally maybe weren't online, they're probably there. You know, do some searches on the shopping network and see what you find, because there's just everything. Could talk forever.
Those are great tips, Laura. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to open it up to the group to see if there's any other questions now that we're rounding up on the hour mark. And if not, we'll let you guys go for the day.
I have one question, and I apologize if you've already said this and I missed it. So I was wondering if when you were talking about how there's certain items that are just exploding right now, and it looks like search volumes are looking like Christmas already. Is there a different way to check those trends other than just the normal trends.google.com? Is there a way to check shopping trends specifically? Or would we just kind of utilize the keywords that are or that we would use for regular trends to judge what products are maybe moving a little bit quicker?
Yeah, that's a great question. Is there somewhere else that you can view those trends? So I'm just going to do a really quick live show you where, and I'll put the link in an email. I'll send Michaela. You can send it to the team. I've got this nifty tool called Google Shopping Insights, and it is a trends report that is specific to the Shopping Ads Network. So you've got all of your verticals here. We can go to furniture and look at sofas, and then we can view those trends, you know, year over year. It breaks it down by brands, top brands that are searched on the Google Shopping Network. And these are all searches that have yielded activity with shopping ads. And you can see the interest by location, everything, as you would with Google Trends. But this is specific to that shopping network. And this is exactly where, you know, I'm pulling those real-time insights, because as we know, like getting real-time information from Google any other way is like almost impossible. So we got to do it ourselves, and we can get that here. So, and this is also a really helpful tool to help you understand, you know, what does that competition look like in this space too, and what are the possibilities. And this is one of my favorite places to go, and I'll make sure you have this link.
Yeah, that's really cool, because, you know, going back to talking about liquor, which I'm more than happy to talk about at any time. I've looked at trends before for like the distillery that I've worked with primarily sells whiskey. And so we've looked at trends for whiskey, but it's really just who's searching whiskey. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind, thinking about this, someone might be searching whiskey, not necessarily to buy it, but to look up recipes or cocktails or content about it. Whereas this will be strictly for people who are looking to buy whiskey, so that we can see trends and what brands are topping out, so that we know how to be competitive and what creative messaging and stuff looks like. So this is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. This is a fantastic tool to show you the huge upticks in these verticals. And again, like my biggest helpful point, I guess I can say, is get in the mind of the consumer and do the searches, you know, see if you or somebody trying to buy something, what's coming up. That's what I do when I'm working on these competitor analysis. I do it in the mindset of a consumer. Of course, we have all of our internal data, which shows historical search terms, which helps, but this is an ever-changing environment and we're seeing trends like we never have before. So definitely do some searches, see what you find, and utilize and leverage this tool. It's amazing. It's awesome.
Now this is, and now you've given them one more tool that they can play with. So I love that. We actually have, this is part of our newsletter for next week, is going through the shopping section of trends. So this is a perfect add-on to that.
Awesome.
Any other questions from the group before we let Laura get back to her regular day job?
This is more fun.
I thought I saw Marty come off mute.
I was just going to say this is great. And actually, I had some questions, but because of Caroline's question, you answered those. And my other question was, what's the best way to prospect? And you just answered that. So thank you so much. I have to bounce, guys. I have a 3 o'clock, but I just wanted to say thanks, Laura, for your time. And Michaela, thanks for including me. I'm going to have fun playing with this and doing some research for some of these folks in Knoxville.
Awesome. I think you're on mute. You're on mute, Michaela. I don't really know what the mute language is.
Okay, I was just saying, Carolyn, do you have a question? I saw you came off mute.
No, I was going to say the same thing. I love your energy, Laura. That was all great information.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. So Laura, really appreciate this. Once I get that information from you all, I'll disseminate it to the group, and I'll also provide this recording for you, but we'll send it out in our Southeast newsletter next week.
Great. All
Thanks,
right.
Laura.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time. Have an awesome weekend.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.